Hey there guys, in this video we're going to be going back to the Snow Beast and we're going to be going for a rank 1 clear that does it a lot quicker than my previous runs. So we're going to be taking my personal strongest units and we're going to be trying to do a turn 6 victory with rank 1. Now I have to warn you, it's pretty hard to pull this off, but can certainly be done. So let's give it a go. So first thing we're going to do, lots of auto casting because we need that morale filled really quickly. So, come on, auto casting for the win. Okay, so Sylvie is going to do Ramping Earth Amplify. We're going to do a Demon Killer because we're not going to have time to do it on the burst turn. And then we're going to do just a Cheerful to start filling the morale gauge. Beryl is going to start in the shift, then go to the base form, and use his LB. That way we activate things like Call of the Wild and all that. Tsukiko is going to do Blessed Omamori, Earth Field, and Consecration Earth. Hayo is going to do Breaker Claw, Physical, Magic, and then Ultimate Flame, just for the morale gain. We don't care about the Amplify because we're not doing a fire clear. Aya Brea does typical Aya things, so Jean, Barrier, and Haste. And then Elena is going to do Shelga, Sanctuary, and Celestial. And thankfully, because we've got lots of racial mitigations with Beryl on the party, the turn 1 should be pretty low damage. There you go, no problem at all. So now we're going to go to the base form with Sylvie, as soon as she finishes auto-casting. Base form with Sylvie, and for this turn we're going to do the Ramping Mitigation, Compassionate, and Earth Resist with Vines. Tsukiko is going to just fill the morale gauge with double Purification and a Protection. Beryl is going to Field on this turn. Whoops, not that. We're going to Field, and then we're going to do both his killers, Human and Beast. Elena on this turn for the morale gain would do Brisk Daybreak with this power and then do a cover. Hayo is going to do Crimson Undermine for the morale gain, and then we're going to do the Breaker Claws again, while Aya is going to shift this turn. We're going to do Pyrokinesis. That's going to be for the morale gain. Again, we don't care about the Amplify. Awakened and Bolting. So next turn, we're going to do our starter burst. It's not going to be our big burst, but it'll push the first threshold. So we got to 186 morale. Not terrible. Could have been better, but it's fine. Okay, so to do our burst on turn 3, we're going to first use Sylvie to do her shifted LB. So shifted, whoop, that's not the shifted. We're going to do the shifted LB for the stat buff, the morale, the LB buff, the mod buff, etc. Tsukiko is going to shift here and do the shifted LB. Hayo, shifted LB. Make sure you're always going to the right form with your units. Shifted LB on Beryl. Shifted LB on Aya. And base form LB on Elena. So we're going to send Tsukiko first because she's a little bit slow. And then we're going to send the others. And that'll be the first threshold, as well as a chunk of damage. Not a ton of damage, but it's the small burst for now. The big burst comes later. We did 5.3, though. Not terrible. So there we go. And here's the threshold. We're going to guts it. So the whole party gutses, except for Sylvie and Elena. They're wearing resist gear. Tsukiko is getting guts from an item. The rest of the DPS, Hayo, Aya, and Beryl have it naturally in their kit. So now we're still in phase 1 actually. So Aya on this turn will go to the base form, and we're going to do Necrosis to get rid of the boss's mitigations, and then double heal, that's the wrong skill. Necrosis and double heal to top the party back up. We're going to use Sylvie to now start ramping Amplify again. We're going to Demon Killer, no we're not. We're going to I've Got Your Back on Beryl to refill his LB gauge and then just do a Clever. Now the reason for that is we have to use an LB on this turn to seal the boss, and Beryl needs to do his LB for the modifier buff and the racial mitigation, and that handles all of that. So we're going to, with Tsukiko, just deal a little bit of damage. The boss has these buffs we can't remove, so not going to be a ton of damage, but a little bit. So we're going to triple Earthquake here. Hayo in the shift form is going to Refined and double Bolting. And Elena is going to just triple Bolting here. And we're going to go ahead and deal some damage. Now, with all the mitigations, including Sylvie's auto-casting 85 mitigation, we should be fine here. Even though it's normally a high damage turn, it shouldn't be an issue with, Beryl and Elena's combined mitigation. It did deal a decent chunk of damage, but we're going to be okay. Okay, so now we're going to get ready for doing the big burst next turn. So before we do that, we're going to shift Beryl, and we're going to Arcane Supplementation for those big buffs. We're going to 150 Amp, and we're going to do Sacrilegious Present to break the boss. Tsukiko will just triple Earthquake again. We're going to shift Aya and get her Awakened buff again. That's Human, Demon Killer, and Mod buff. So Awakened and double Bolting. Sylvie will put the big Demon Killer on Beryl and then double Bolting. Elena is going to shift here. We're going to do Grace, Bolting, and Judgment. And actually, Sylvie's doing it the wrong order. Sylvie wants to double Bolting and then Demon Killer. That way she bridges the chains properly. And Hayo's going to go to the base form, and he's just going to Tide Mist of Spirit for the bigger damage next turn. Let's go ahead and chain this up. Now, we want to make sure we don't push the boss below 50 on this turn, but as you can see, we're definitely not going to. Totally fine. Okay, so some small attacks here. We're not using a lot of resist gear on Elena, so therefore she got hit really hard. But as long as she doesn't die, it's okay. If you are taking a lot of damage on Elena, consider swapping some DPS gear and putting some resist gear on her. So now we're going to shifted LB with Sylvie, and now it's time to kill the boss. So shifted LB with Tsukiko, shifted LB with Hayo, shifted LB of Beryl, shifted LB of Aya, and shifted LB of Elena. This time we're going to delay Elena very slightly to weave her damage in. So here we go. So Tsukiko goes first, wait, send this, a moment later send Elena, and that should be the end of the Abominable Snow Beast, depending on your variants and all that. Also depends on your gear and your EX levels, but there is our 6-turn clear. 8.5 billion damage on turn 6 with an Earth Party, and the only person who even had a good Earth Amplify was Beryl. He had a 150. Everyone else was just using Sylvie's 100, plus the field, of course. And there it is. We got the morale gauge filled, we did the score, we did the damage, and boom. And here's the breakdown. Aya Brea is, of course, an absolutely phenomenal unit, even though she's not using the proper element. Doesn't matter. She's extremely, extremely good. Beryl and Hayo did good damage. Not the best, but, whatever. Beryl is only EX2 for me, and I decided to not give him Cactuars, the Emperor Cactuars, so there it is. Tsukiko, 2 billion, not bad. And then Elena, 1 billion, because she was mostly tanking. But there it is. There's our turn 6 rank 1. And I'll show you the gear. Now, I do have to warn you, like I said, this is very, very hard to pull off. I had to rely on a decent variance roll to get that done. I tried it a few times. Sometimes the boss would stop at like 3% health or something on turn 6. And if that happens, though, actually, turn 6 is a very low damage turn. So even if you do burst on turn 6 and the boss doesn't die, he should be at like 3 or 5% health. You can just kill him on turn 7, and it'll be fine. But anyway, we did it on turn 6. So here's the party and the gear we use. As far as Overkillers, Aya got Overkiller Beast, and Beryl got Overkiller Demon. So let's show you the gear. A lot of morale fill. So dual wielding on Sylvie for the Ancient Power card for the morale gain. Things like Galbana Lilies. Also some LB fill, so she can LB on turn 3 and turn 6. And then just also some Earth Resist so that she doesn't get killed by the Threshold. And morale fill, shift form, exact same thing. Elena in the base form, a little bit of resistances, not enough to really matter. Some auto mitigation, etc. The ice card, and then shift form is Also wearing some resist, not enough obviously because she almost died, but as long as she doesn't actually die, it's fine. So there we go. Aya Brega in the base form, a lot of morale fill, Celestite Rod, Treasured Ring, the Clash Gear, etc. And then shift form is damage, and she did the most damage in the clear. A little bit chain speed, she gears for the killers very, very easily, etc. Tsukiko, base form. Are you seeing a theme here? A lot of morale fill, tenacity, etc. Just auto casting. And then shift form is damage. The Dark Vision's Rod, max evocation, a source of guts because she doesn't have guts naturally. So Owerber's Boon, and then the evocation card. Like I said, this is not a cheap clear. Hayo in the base form, a lot of morale fill, Peppermint Rod, Galbano Lilies, Tyvis' Spirit, etc. Shift form is damage, and here is his build with his special card. And then Beryl in the base form, are you seeing a theme here? A lot of morale fill, and a lot of LB fill, because we LB on turn 1, and we have no way to get him filled again by turn 3, other than things like Dragon's Brush, Pause of Prosperity, Mood Maker, a lot of LB per turn, a lot of percent fill, etc. And then shift form is damage. There it is. And we start in the shift form and then the Earth card. And then we go to the base form, and that activates things like the Brush and the Call of the Wild. And that was the clear. Okay. Turn 6 clear. I'll put a chart in the comments. I do have to warn you up front, it's very hard to pull this off, especially if you have like lower EX levels or if you have worse gear, etc. But it can be done, and there it is. All right. See you in a bit.